Hello, my name is Frederik, and today we're going to talk about the process of learning how to train. So, learning how to train is a process unto itself, which is to say it's something that differs from the technical aspect, to say learning how to do barbell training, kettlebell training, bodyweight training, or any other type of training. All these types of training, they have particular techniques, they have particular ways to move. So what I'm saying here is that those things are important as well. I'm just saying that there is a separate process which is more about like how you approach the training. Now, that process of learning how to train and how to interface with it, of course it repeats in all these different modalities, but it's a thing that is going on underneath those things, and it's important to recognize that it is going on, it's happening. Another way to talk about this is that there's an emotional interface, there's a mental interface to basically everything that we do. I talked about some of the issues regarding this in another video called The Importance, I think I called it The Importance of Front Loading, which was a particular, if you have some sort of resistance towards training, or it's not happening as much as you would want, then front loading is a useful way to get around some of those issues. So it's not all of it, but it's one particular aspect of learning how to train. So that's more of what I'm getting at here. Another way or another thing to think about is, and this is like painting everything in very broad strokes, is we'll often identify that we have a tendency, we habituate towards something, a particular way of doing things, and we recognize this in different aspects of our lives. So if we're going to use a Goldilocks metaphor, we might say like some people have a tendency towards too much. So in terms of training, we might say you're going too hard at it, you're trying to lift weights that you can't handle, you're doing too many workouts, too much, like burning yourself or burying yourself into the ground. You can have the complete opposite is like not engaging with intensity, not training enough, being too cautious and being too worried about perfect form to the point of not actually getting a training effect. So that's two ends of the spectrum where part of the learning how to train is finding that middle ground. And obviously it is connected to physical things, but it's also connected to our attitudes in other things in daily life. And that's one of the things. I'm not saying it's everything, but it's one of the ways that training can tell us something about what's going on in other aspects of daily life. It's why it's important to not think of training as kind of like it's a completely separate part of yourself. Like it's part of the humdrum of everyday life, and it is a part of who we are. And so if we properly engage with learning how to train, it will also teach us something about ourselves. And that's possibly the ending note here, is that training, when viewed in this way, is a form, or it can give a form of self-knowledge. And so that's why sometimes when you meet people who have long experience with different types of training, I'm thinking particularly here of martial arts, you can see that training has done something for that person. And it's not just about that person being having the highest degree of technical knowledge or knowing exactly how a punch is done. There's something else going on as well, that thing has changed that person. And so being the strongest and having the most exact technical knowledge is not a replacement for engaging with that process that goes underneath, underneath. Obviously has a lot to do with experience and having tried things out. Again, some things have to do with knowing what works in a technical way. A lot more has to do with what works in in what makes it work for you. So yeah, the process of learning how to train, recognizing that that's going on, and then you can begin to recognize that that's going on, you can also begin to see how you interface with training in a useful way and when it's not going in a useful direction. So that's perhaps the takeaway from this video. If you enjoy this video, then consider hitting that little like button or the subscribe button. It would help me out tremendously. And as always, thank you for watching.